Okay, this is a quick unbox of the Rupert Neve headphone amplifier. I think it's Rupert. I think it's Neve. I think I'm pronouncing it right. Just received this guy. Heard a lot of good things about it. Kind of excited to test it out. It has a very, very retro look to it. Looks like the audio equipment that he created in the past. A lot of studio gear is what he's known for. And yeah, wow, this thing is just a brick, man. This thing is heavy. I'm guessing it has a pretty big transformer in it. Looks very well made, and wow, that knob has got a really nice fluid and thick feel to it. Well, very cool. Let's see here. There's our power supply. UK plugs, US plug. Here's the comes with safety instructions, the user guide. Very simple, literally one page. Because I mean, what else do you need to have, right? I mean, it's got a power switch on the back, volume knob on the front, hooking your inputs, your outputs. So yeah. Hey there. So I got this Rupert Neve Designs headphone amplifier. And I'm super excited about this thing. And well, let me start with this. So you saw the unboxing. I cut that into the beginning of this video. Inside there comes with a little sheet like this, just one page. And actually this page is more informative than half of the user manuals I get with a lot of equipment. So it's actually got some really nice information in here. Someone who really knew how to write actually wrote this stuff. It's really interesting how they talk about this amp and how it was designed, according to this, for musicians and for them to be able to get that critical, correct tonality out of their headphones, so that they could, play better, right? And it's actually much more detailed. I'm not going to read it to you. You guys can probably download that from their site and check it out. But this is the amp. I saw this thing on Amazon just by accident. I found it, and I thought, it looks like it looked funky to me, right? It looked like old-fashioned studio equipment. And I kind of looked up Rupert Neve, and he's super famous for designing a lot of studio equipment, the kind of stuff musicians use, professionals use, not stuff you find in Best Buy, right? And then I started doing a little bit and I thought it was $499. I was like, holy crap. It's got 1/4 inch, three LEDs in the front, which are actually buttons. You press them in to change the input source. And then it's got this red knob and this blue metal box, very plain. Let me undo these right here. I'm gonna take the power out. On the back, you have 2 XLRs, but these are actually XLRs and 6.5s, right? So if you've got, basically audio equipment jacks, that's what these are. So, or audio equipment interconnects. So it's a dual purpose plug, which is kind of cool. And it's got the little locking clip on top. I like that. That's one input. That is A. B is the RCAs, unbalanced, and C is a 3.5. There's your on-off switch right there, and your socket for your power supply. It's got holes in the bottom so that you can mount it on a Visa plate or on audio equipment, right? And we've got rubber feet. It's very heavy. I didn't weigh it, but I'm guessing it's over a pound for sure. it feels heavier on this side, so I'm guessing this is where the transformer is, and for the power supply. Um, Simple, you know, very nice knob. This knob is very fluid, so it's very simple and very sparse in its design, and I really like that. There's something attractive about that to me, And then I saw a couple of reviews, and people were saying, yeah, it's a really good amp, headphone amp. And then if you read the information on their website, this is supposedly a reference amp. And for $500, to do nothing else but be a headphone amplifier, it has no DAC. It's just you got to feed it a DAC, give it the signal, and it'll amplify it out to your headphones. So for just that to be $500, it should be somewhat reference quality, right? So I've been looking for. You see here, I've got the GL2000s and the Hi-Fi-Man. I'm sorry, Hi-Fi-Man. I had Hi-Fi-Man on the brain. I was thinking about something else. The Sennheiser HD800Ss. A quick note on these. I did a couple of videos now, and I've kind of mentioned these. And I did a video about the Focal Clears, which I also really like. And these 800Ss have become my go-to. I don't know if it's just my brain got used to them, or if I started hearing them with the correct amp matching. But it's gotten to the point now where if I have new music that I like, that I want to hear, this is what I want to listen on. There's some kind of clarity and tonality that these have. A lot of people say they don't have strong bass, and that's true, they don't, but their bass sounds correct to me. Everything sounds so good on these to me, and they just do something special that I really love them. I also really like these GL2000s. So these have been the two that I've been using like pretty much all the time now. And the thing with the GL2000 is they're not hard to drive so much as the 800S, but they are a little bit picky. As an example, let me pull this here. So I've got this little Codis Tone 2 Pro board, Pro desktop DAC amp combo, and I was using that, and it'll drive both of these headphones, just not very well. It doesn't sound that great with these. It sounds okay. For whatever reason, the FiO M11 Pro sounds fantastic with these. So does the ADI and the Drop, and also the Dark Voice sounds really good with these. Now that I've got the proper DAC to the Dark Voice, which I'll be doing in a separate video. So moving these over here, and the 800s, the 800s are very hard to pair with amps. They sound good with the Drop. It sounds okay, pretty good with the ADI. Sounds good with the ADI out to the Dark Voice. Doesn't sound good on a lot of other stuff. And I've been kind of looking for something, that magical pairing, I guess you might say. So I've been trying different things, and I plugged it in when I got this in, and I was stunned actually. The sound quality was so much more than I expected. I mean, I knew the 800S was good. They're my favorite ones, my favorite headphones right now. And plugged into the FiO M11 Pro, there's some kind of magical thing that happens. They sound so good with that little device. But desktop amps are a little bit tricky, and it sounds okay. It sounds good with the Drop, and it sounds with the Drop 789, and it sounds good with the Dark Voice. It sounds okay with the ADI, but not great with the ADI. Not like I want it to. So I was looking for something I could set up, that wouldn't take up too much space, probably in my bedroom, in a little desk I have in there, where I like to listen to music sometimes by the window. And this amp is definitely going to fill the bill. So, it only has the 1/4 inch, and that's fine. That's what I've been using. And then I've been running my DAC in through the RCA, not through the balance. I'm actually going to order a balance cable that I'm going to be here, and I'm going to be trying a couple of different DACs. I got really great response, or it was a really excellent pairing, this little Codis Tone 2 Pro and this amp. Using this as the DAC with RCA and this is the amp, that was like the sweet spot with the HD800S. It sounded just incredible. I'm kind of stumped that this little amp that I really haven't heard that much about, it is just incredible. and here's the thing, the HD800S, which is hard to drive. I mean, I have to put that little file M11 Pro up to about 80% volume, and even then it's just loud enough, right, in order to get these to sound good. I can drive them to the point where they're a little too loud with it, but it's not what you'd call easy. And the same thing goes with some other devices I have. But with this guy right here and the dark voice both, I can only go right about there, about halfway, and then it's getting too loud. It's getting where it's probably going to damage my hearing if I'm not careful. If I'm talking about sound quality and the things that I heard, so if I go back to songs that I usually use, like from The Truth About Charlie, that Para El Pared song, or I'm sorry, Dekara El Pared, the I talk about the raindrops in the beginning of that song, and the clarity of that, and I can hear that there's water and rain in the beginning, and most devices and headphones, I just can't always define it really well. Like the it's just it's there, but you don't really know the detail of it. You can't really see through the detail of it. And with some things, it's incredibly detailed, right? Now, a very interesting thing happened with this paired with the Tone T2 Pro, because I tried this with the ADI, and with the ADI, I could hear those raindrops, right? And I could hear, and I switched back and forth, especially on that track, because I was really stunned at the way it sounded with the Tone T2 Pro and this device. With the ADI, I could hear the raindrops, I could hear the water, I could hear the splashing, and I could hear it through the kind of the beginning of the song, and then it kind of plays off into the rest of the song where it just, you don't hear it that much, or you don't hear it. With the Tone T2 Pro, I could hear all of that detail, but the interesting thing was the rest of the song, and I listened to the whole song to kind of prove it out in my mind and make sure I was correct on this. The rest of the song, I could hear water being used as an instrument. I didn't notice that before in that song. And I listened to it with a lot of stuff, but for whatever reason, I never picked that up. Like my brain hadn't identified that. And with the Tone T2 Pro, it was very, very obvious throughout the whole song that the bass line in the song actually is like someone stomping their foot in water. And if you listen to that song and try to hear that, with a lot of stuff, that kind of dissipates in the beginning and you don't really realize that's what's going on. But with this pairing, I could hear it clearly through the whole song. There was so much depth and so much dynamics is the word I want to use. I've heard other reviewers and audiophiles say the word, oh, it's very dynamic, and the dynamics of it. And I never really understood what they meant that much. I mean, I kind of know what they're talking about, but when I heard this, I completely understood what that meant. And it was like every instrument was powerful and present and clear, but not overwhelming so, and nothing was forward. I didn't feel like vocals were overbearing or right in my face. I didn't feel like, the cymbals were overbearing or coming in my ear. Everything felt good and felt correct, but there was this depth and clarity that this thing was delivering that I just haven't heard before. Not with the ADI2, not with the drop, not with anything. And I mean that sincerely, that this is no hype. I have no connection. I bought this thing off Amazon. And it's not cheap. I'm not recommending you go buy it. I mean, it's 500, I think, with delivery and everything. It was like 560 or something with tax. So it's definitely not cheap. But and I was thinking, I don't know if I'm going to keep this or not. I just want to hear what it sounds like. But now that I've heard it, there is no way I'm getting rid of this. I may actually get rid of the drop, the 789. It's the drop 789 is okay. It's a little finicky. The gain switch doesn't really give me much gain. I've got the thing on gain 3 all the time on that drop 789, just to drive everything. Even with IEMs, I keep it up there. So I don't, for me, this is much better built, and the sound quality or the tonality of it, even though it's supposed to be, they talk about in the instructions or in the little letter that it comes with, how it's supposed to just deliver the sound without adding to or coloring it at all. I can tell you that whatever it is they've done in the way that this is working or tuning, that they've done, it's definitely a step above that 789 in sound quality. Very, very dark background. So there's a new Diana Krall album. I think it's new. And I can't think the name of it now, but it's got the cover is like a blue background. It's jazz. It's like, and it's more common type jazz, like nightclub jazz that she's singing. And I think it's like Dream of You or something like that is the album. And that album, I hear a little bit of hiss on a lot of different things I listen to. In fact, I've come to the conclusion that, or I had come to the conclusion that they actually had a little bit of hiss on purpose. Like they were adding that in on the recording for some reason. Why, I don't know, but it just felt like everything I listened to, even on things that I never hear hiss on, I could hear this little background hiss with it. That hiss was gone on, not on every song, but on almost all of the songs. I would say I listened to 4 songs. Okay, I'll be realistic. I listened to 4 songs on that album, and of the 4, usually all of them have a little tiny hiss in the background, a little, you can just hear it. And on all but one of them, I couldn't hear any. It was completely silent on this. And the one that I could hear it, it wasn't through the whole song. It was just through parts. So something about the circuitry design in this, it's actually feels like a cleaner, darker background than the Drop 789. I'm sure there's people that own that. They're going to throw rocks at me, but that is what I heard. And these HD 800Ss, there's one thing you can say about them is they are highly resolving. I can hear things on those that I can only hear on my most expensive IEMs, like the Audio Monarch. And I would say also the Fearless Audio S8Z is another one that's very sensitive. And I haven't listened to it yet on this. That's going to be something I'm going to do in the future here, and I'll probably do another little video on it once I know. But I can tell you with the Monarch, I plugged that into here, and I plugged in the FiO FD5 in here. Yeah, it's just those 2 that I tried with this, and both of them just sound fantastic, clear. So what I did was, because it's just a 1/4 inch, I have a 1/4 inch adapter, plugged that in, and then I plugged a 3.5 jack from one of those into here. Sounded incredible, just fantastic. Just as good as as this headphone for sure. I will say that this headphone still sounded better even than those IEMs, and I usually say that IEMs are better than headphones for a lot of reasons. But I'm going to tell you, this HD 800S in combination with this Rupert Neve Designs headphone amplifier and the Codis Tone T2 Pro, it did something to the way it was delivering the music that no IEMs give me that experience yet. This right now is top of the heap. This everything sounded good plugged into this. I didn't find anything, and I was like, not a good match. This amp delivers. Right now, I've tested it with the Tone T2 Pro, almost not exclusively, but once I heard this compared to the ADI and compared to the FiO that I tested with this, forget it. This was the combination right here, these 2 guys. So yeah, if you haven't heard of this, you should check it out. In fact, before you even go on Amazon, just go to their website, go read the information about their design philosophies and what they create, and you'll see that this is probably the smallest device they make. They've actually got massive sound studio production boards for professional audio people. So yeah, I was stunned that how good this actually is. This is definitely something I will not be getting rid of. I'm thinking about, it's either going to stay here in my desk for testing, or it's going to go in my home stereo system. I'm not 100% positive yet how it's going to work out, but yeah, this is a keeper for sure. So that is the Rupert Neve Design headphone amp, and that's the review.